America is changing in ways no one ever expected, the nation once known for noise and speed and endless rushing suddenly finding itself in a quiet moment of reflection, and in that silence, something unexpected has begun to bloom, something ancient, something gentle, something healing, a faith many once misunderstood, now becoming the very thing thousands turn to when everything else collapses around them. When the world becomes too loud, when the heart becomes too tired, when the soul whispers, "I need peace," and for reasons deeper than statistics or headlines can explain. That peace is being found in Islam, across cities and suburbs and small forgotten towns, in the hearts of people who never thought they would change their lives, and yet here they are, searching, hoping, healing. It begins quietly, as all revivals do, not with marches or megaphones or political campaigns, but with a single conversation, a late-night YouTube search, a stranger's story shared online, a moment in a park, a moment in a mosque, a moment in crisis that forces someone to ask, is there something more, something steadier, something real, and slowly, painfully, beautifully, thousands of Americans are realizing that the answer might be sitting in front of them the whole time, waiting. In New York, in Chicago, in Atlanta, in Dallas, in towns where the nearest mosque is 2 hours away, Americans of every background, every shade, every past, are walking through mosque doors for the first time, shy, unsure, nervous, but hopeful, and they are met not with judgment or pressure but with smiles, with warmth, with a plate of food, with the simple greeting that has healed hearts for centuries, Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you, and for many, that is the first peace they have felt in years. People think conversion is loud, sudden, dramatic, but most of the time it is slow, gentle, private, a journey of months or years, tears falling in bedrooms, hearts breaking and opening and breaking again, a quiet longing for something pure, something unchanging, something that does not fold under pressure like modern life does, and in that longing, Islam appears like a calm ocean after a lifetime of storms. A young man in Boston, once drowning in depression and loneliness, says he found calm the first time he touched prayer beads, rolling them gently between his fingers, whispering the names of God, and he said it felt like exhaling for the first time in years, like his soul had finally unclenched. A woman in Los Angeles says she walked into a mosque just to listen, to observe, to understand, and she ended up crying through the whole prayer, not because she knew the words, but because something deep inside her recognized the rhythm, the surrender, the humility, something she had been missing her whole life. A firefighter in Michigan says he felt lost after too many tragedies, too many funerals, too many nights wondering why some people survive and others don't, and he said Islam gave him a way to hold the grief without drowning in it, to understand suffering without becoming numb, to accept life without fear, death without panic, and purpose without confusion. These stories are everywhere now, whispered in living rooms, shared in group chats, written anonymously online by people afraid of judgment, but unable to hide their gratitude anymore, unable to deny the healing that has quietly taken root inside them, because when a heart finds peace, it cannot help but glow. And despite the noise of media, politics, stereotypes, or controversy, something beautiful is happening beneath it all, something statistics cannot capture, something numbers cannot measure, something deeper, something human, because this is not a story about Islam taking over America, this is a story about Americans rediscovering themselves through Islam. You see it in college campuses where students gather to learn Arabic, not for grades, but for meaning, for connection, for depth in a world of short attention spans, craving something sturdy in a culture built on trends. You see it in mosques overwhelmed during Ramadan, not just with immigrants or lifelong Muslims, but with new faces, unfamiliar accents, people who used to sit in churches, people who used to belong to no religion at all, people who once claimed to be spiritual but lost, now sitting shoulder to shoulder in prayer, feeling found. You see it in the men who once searched for identity in dangerous places, now finding themselves rebuilding their lives through discipline, prayer, and brotherhood, discovering that manhood is not aggression, but responsibility, softness, humility, service. You see it in the women who say Islam didn't restrict them, it freed them from social pressure, freed them from objectification, freed them from expectations that suffocated them for years, letting them breathe, letting them exist without needing to perform for the world. And you see it in the older Americans, the ones no one expected to convert, the ones in their 40s, 50s, 60s, who say they feel like they finally came home after spending their whole lives searching for a place to belong, saying the moment their forehead touched the ground in prayer, they realized they had been wandering for decades without knowing it. America is not witnessing a takeover, it is witnessing a healing, a quiet return to spirituality in a time when meaning feels scarce, when anxiety feels normal, when brokenness feels like the default setting of modern life, a time when people are desperate for purpose, structure, truth, and peace, and Islam offers all of that without shouting, without demanding, without forcing. It simply exists, patiently, steadily, waiting for those who need it. And the ones who come rarely come for politics, rarely come for culture, rarely come for identity. They come because their hearts were tired, and they needed rest, and in the whisper of the Quran, in the rhythm of prayer, in the stillness of dawn sujud, they found it. They come because Islam gives answers to questions society told them to ignore, because Islam gives purpose where life gave emptiness, because Islam heals wounds they thought would never close, because Islam offers community in a world that feels increasingly isolated, because Islam gives certainty in a time of existential confusion, because Islam gives love in a world starving for it. And as America enters 2026, this movement is no longer small, no longer quiet, no longer something you might stumble upon by accident. It is a revival, a spiritual awakening unfolding from coast to coast, powered not by force, but by healing, not by fear, but by peace, not by identity, but by the search for God. Thousands are converting every year, but millions more are curious, searching, questioning, watching, listening, wondering if maybe, just maybe, the peace they've been searching for all their lives is waiting on the other side of a prayer mat, beneath the soft whisper of Bismillah, in the gentle discipline of the 5 prayers, in the stillness of midnight reflection, in the humility of surrender. And as this revival grows, something remarkable is happening. Families once broken are reconnecting, marriages once collapsing are finding new foundations, young people once drowning in anxiety are learning discipline and stillness, communities once scattered are becoming whole again, because Islam does not just guide the soul, it stabilizes the heart, the mind, the home. America is not falling to Islam, America is healing through it, one heart at a time, one story at a time, one quiet moment of truth at a time, and as the years pass, as more people join this journey, the narrative will shift, the fear will fade, and the truth will shine, that Islam did not come to change America by force, it came to remind America of something it forgot, something it lost, something it desperately needs, peace, purpose, God. And when people ask, why now, why Islam, why America, the answer is simple, because broken hearts search for healing, because weary souls search for home, because truth echoes through every generation until someone finally stops to hear it, and because in the quiet corners of a nation overwhelmed by noise, Islam whispers gently, come to peace, and America, slowly, cautiously, beautifully, is listening.